In this video, we're going to be looking at how to knit the Vikkel Braid or Estonian Lateral Braid. It is a lovely little braid made from one row of knitting that can be done usually in one color, but can also be done in two contrasting colors. This is a braid that gives the appearance of stitches running horizontally, like seen here in my Caloroso shawl, and this cute little swatch here, which is what I'm going to show you how to knit. It's a really lovely technique to add to your knitting toolbox. We're going to be looking at how to knit this braid flat on this little swatch with one color. So let's get started knitting. So now we're going to get started knitting our Vikkel Braid or Estonian Lateral Braid Continental style on this flat swatch. So this is how you can do it, working it flat. This is a simple 2-stitch repeat to make our nice horizontal braid. So what we're going to do is, to start our repeat, we're going to take our right needle and insert it into the second stitch on my left needle. So I have it tilted up for you, to knit this stitch through the back loop. So we're going to knit the second stitch, this one here, through the back loop and pull through. So there we go. So I've got a stitch that I've just made from that second stitch on my left needle, knitting through the back loop. Then we're going to knit the very first stitch on the needle like normal, pull through. So now once both stitches, the first and the second stitch on the left needle, have been knitted, we're going to slide those 2 stitches off like so. So it's kind of like a 1-by-1 left knitted twist. But now we're going to repeat the process again. But before we repeat, we're going to slide the first stitch on our right needle back to the left, like so. And as we're going to go along, every stitch that we're going to be knitting with this 2-stitch repeat is going to be knit essentially twice. So I've slipped that, what was the first stitch on the right needle, back to the left, and I'm going to do that repeat again of, I'm going to knit the second stitch on my left needle through the back loop. So I'm going to go into the back, so behind, and pull my yarn in to knit. Then I'm going to go through the first stitch on the left needle, go in and knit, slide both stitches off like so. And you should start to see, once you get into about at least a second set of repeats, so that knit through the back loop, knit, you'll start, and passing the last stitch you work, so the first stitch on the right needle back to the left, you'll start to see what looks like the stitches going horizontal. So we're going to keep going. So again, I'm going to slide that first stitch on my right needle back to the left needle, knit through the back loop of the second stitch on the left needle, pull through, then knit through the first stitch on the left needle, 2 stitches work, slide off. Very important, slide the first stitch on the right needle back to the left. So you'll carry on doing essentially that 2-stitch repeat. So knitting the second stitch on the left needle through the back loop, knitting the first stitch on the left needle like a normal knit stitch, and then passing what is the last stitch you worked, or the first stitch on the right needle, back to the left, and carrying on. And you'll do that until you finish where you want your braid to be. And it's as simple as that. A braid in one row of knitting. So here I've knitted a little bit past the braid just to show you what has happened in regards to tension. So I'll just grab a cable needle to show you up close. You'll see that my stitches from the braid, that V is a little bit longer than the ones above. So my tension is going to be looser on those stitches. So when you're knitting this braid, you want to make sure you're pulling your stitches, those loops you're making, really tight, or go down a needle size. That will kind of help alleviate that kind of loose tension. So here, if I stretch it out, you can kind of see that's the only downside to this braid, but you can kind of fix that by adjusting your needle size. So go down 1 or 2 to kind of help with tightening up that tension. Otherwise, a really beautiful, sweet little braid that we've just done in one color.